Well, Greg, I'm so glad that you were able to make it up here, join us here on campus at Notre Dame. Tell us a little bit about yourself in Seven Corners.
Yeah, so it's great to be back on campus. I'm a 2022 grad of the EMBA program here at Notre Dame. So it's always good to come back to the Stayer Center. I am the chief marketing officer at Seven Corners, and I've been at Seven Corners for the last over 7 years now. Time goes by very, very quickly. And we are a travel insurance and healthcare company headquartered north of Indy in Carmel, Indiana.
Thanks for that intro about Seven Corners. Can you talk to us a little bit about what led you and Seven Corners to participate in Grow Irish?
Sure. So I actually, as part of the graduate program, I get the various emails from Notre Dame. And when I saw this come through as an opportunity for Seven Corners to participate with a master's program at Notre Dame, I jumped on the opportunity and filled out the form very quickly because we are always looking to see how we can bring a different perspective into the business at Seven Corners, and having more of an academia type of perspective come in, which is more process perhaps oriented than what we typically do, was definitely something we were interested in taking the opportunity to engage with the program. So I jumped on it, and we immediately had one idea of the project that we were looking to do on our travel insurance business. But after thinking through and seeing kind of the skill set of the students that would be joining us, we pivoted more to our healthcare business because we had more data needs on that side. And that's an area that we had not been strong in at Seven Corners. So the program coming in, the students coming in, were bringing a unique skill set that we didn't have at Seven Corners. So that was a great opportunity for us that we saw when we saw the program advertised.
And it's a great way for you to, give back and kind of pay it forward to folks who are following in your footsteps.
Absolutely.
And so in that context, you mentioned the students being equipped with a certain skill set. How did you think or hope that they would use that skill set to give you a different perspective on the problems that you were facing,
Yeah,
the
so
challenges you were facing?
yeah, in a couple different ways. I mentioned kind of more of the process oriented approach at data, which we didn't have that skill set at Seven Corners. So I figured that the students would come in with some type of learned methodology for data discovery. And that was definitely something that I had hoped. But I think an added benefit that I didn't expect was not only did we get that kind of academic process, but we got a unique perspective on new tools and new capabilities that we weren't aware of, and a perspective that was outside of what I would say the Seven Corners mindset, right? So definitely being more versed on newer or emerging technology in the field of data and how that was then leveraged by the students in the project was definitely something I didn't expect, but a positive outcome from it.
That's fantastic. So let's talk a little bit more about the students. Can you tell me a little bit about your impressions of them as a group, how they approach the project?
Sure. One thing that, back at my time at Notre Dame that I noticed was very similar with the students that came in December was Notre Dame does a really good job of, when they create a group of students or a cohort, putting different skill sets together within that group. And when the teams came in, and we had, I think, 7 teams, I noticed that the teams were formed with kind of that same approach. Every student had a different type of perspective or skill set that they brought to their individual group. But then what was even more interesting was seeing the diversity amongst the groups. So you had some that were much more, I think, questioning, and then other groups you didn't hear as much from. So you kind of got to see a different approach. And then in the outcome, the presentations, you saw the manifestation of that approach. So it was unique from the standpoint of, I think, again, Notre Dame does a great job of, in a cohort, putting students together from a skill set perspective. And we were able to capitalize on that at Seven Corners with the final presentation and the outcome. So
That's fantastic.
yeah.
So is there anything, if you kind of abstract back to the entire experience, is there anything that kind of stuck with you about Grow Irish?
Yes, I think the speed at which the students were able to ramp up on our business was impressive. We had a very condensed timeline to Grow Irish, really, 2.5 days. Yeah. And I think the most impressive thing was the quality of the presentation, considering the time constraint they had to understand our business and come up with a recommendation.
That makes me so happy because it kind of doubles down on what we tell our students as they come in. They're ready to be day 2 effective.
Yeah.
Day 1, they get their coffee, and then day 2, they're ready to go.
Absolutely.
All right. So in the context of the Grow Irish program, can you talk about the value that really Seven Corners got from that experience?
Sure. It's absolutely monetary value, to be quite honest with you. One of the key elements of the project was looking at a new initiative for our healthcare business, our mobile MRI service that we just launched. And as part of the project, the students actually went through and helped us to build the model that we were going to use to manage the service delivery of that program. So locations, where we could market it to fill the number of days we were looking to schedule that MRI unit. So the work that the students did, we're actually leveraging today in our rollout of the mobile MRI service. So it was definitely a quantifiable impact. One of the things that we just started doing was advertising for this offering at Seven Corners. And because of what the students were able to construct and identify the targets of who we needed to go after from an advertising perspective, we've already generated over 300 quantifiable leads from that work. So this wasn't just an academic exercise, it was truly a benefit financially to Seven Corners, the output of the project.
That's fantastic. Warms my heart to hear that,
yeah.
Honestly. So kind of zooming out a little bit, as you think about your work with the students on this new project, this new initiative for Seven Corners, what's your take on how academia and industry can partner in the context of innovation?
Sure. In technology today, especially with the introduction and more proliferation of AI, emerging technology is not always able to be looked at from a corporate environment, especially a company our size. 150 team members, we don't have a large technology staff. The students bring with them a unique perspective on new and emerging technology. And I think that was another benefit for Seven Corners, was that different emerging technology perspective or capabilities, or how students were able to look at the data and be able to help us learn and grow and expand our horizons when it came to some processes and technology.
That's fantastic. Thinking about the project specifically, were there elements of it that really resonated with you and your personal leadership style?
One of the things that my personal leadership style has always been focused on servant leadership. And observing the students while they were on site, I could see that the leadership mentality that Notre Dame instills in their students was definitely on display within the groups that were part of the program. And I could see similarities with my servant leadership focus within the groups of students, and everybody was pitching in and doing the work. You didn't see people sitting back and just participating by just their attendance. Everyone was actively engaged. People were engaged, asking questions, and there wasn't the one typical group leader and everybody else. Everyone had an active part in the exercise and in the project. And I think that mirrored kind of what I like to see in my teams and the teams that I'm responsible for from a servant leadership perspective.
That's great. Think about looking forward, apart from the qualified lead generation.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you're really hoping to carry forward from this initiative?
Yeah, I think, again, it's more of we've got to remain cognizant of getting outside of the seven corners tunnel vision. And so what the students really showed us is expanding kind of your view of a problem within the corporate environment, if you will, and making certain that you're considering other aspects outside or how the customer is looking at you, because students in that experience were like our customers. They didn't know the inner workings of our business, so they kind of brought that outside customer perspective, and it was a reminder that we have to have that as we're approaching a problem in seven corners, not to have the shaded seven corners tunnel vision when we're approaching some type of initiative like a new business development initiative like our MRI service.
That's great. If you were to give advice to other organizations who are considering partnering with the Grow Irish program, what would you say?
Just do it. Not to steal the slogan from Nike, but I would say, don't be afraid to engage and take advantage of the program. It's not a disruption to your business, and some people may look at it like that, but it's more of an augmentation of your business. And I would say, you will get a far greater benefit out of the program than what you expect. And I think, we had discussed previously, I think our leadership team thought this would be a good experience. I don't think they realized the depth of information and idea generation that the program would provide and the benefit it would have for seven corners. So, I would just say, get involved, do it. You've got many different challenges I'm sure companies are facing. Take it as an example to expand your horizons and get a fresh perspective.
Well, I'd just like to say thank you again for the investment of your time, right? Because you certainly put time into the program, but sounds like you got a decent value out of it.
100%. Definitely did. Yes.
Awesome.
And thank you.